Hello, my name is Emily Milne and I'm a proud teacher at Eleanor Estate School. As part of the school's new Health Promotion Committee, I strongly feel it is time to discuss some of the health issues relevant to our school. As teachers, we are exposed to a huge variety of these health issues through the diversity of our students and sometimes struggle with recognizing the symptoms and knowing when or how to help. Today, I would like to unpack some common and uncommon knowledge about domestic violence in our school, hopefully providing you with the knowledge and skills needed to address this issue. Domestic violence is defined as a form of violence that could happen within any relationship and can either be social, physical, or emotional abuse. Domestic violence may also include physical, sexual, financial, emotional, or psychological abuse. Emotional or psychological abuse may include a range of controlling behaviours, such as the use of verbal threats, enforced isolation from family and friends, restrictions on finances, and public or private humiliation. Domestic violence can also be called intimate partner violence, meaning that any form of relationship can be infected. In our school, we have a diverse community with various socio-economic backgrounds, some more likely to experience domestic violence outside school. Through my research, it was consistent that the majority of those suffering from domestic violence were women. 1 in 4 young people will witness some form of domestic violence against their mother or stepmother. In 2012, a personal safety survey revealed that women who were exposed to violence in their childhood were 1.5 times more likely to experience violence again in their adulthood than those who had not. This suggests that these women did not have the right support provided for them as children, which then affected their decisions with future partners. If there is abuse conflicted upon a child's mother, the child may see their mother be threatened, demeaned, physically or sexually abused, overhear arguments or conflict, and be used or manipulated to hurt the mother. A mother may not report or admit that they are being abused because they are embarrassed or are worried that the services will be contacted and they will take her children out of the home. Aside from the psychological scarring, children can be physically hurt in a domestic attack by being beaten on purpose, accidentally getting in the way, trying to protect the victim, dropped by the mother as she is attacked, or hit by something that is thrown. These accidental injuries may show up frequently on a student in your classroom, either physical or more likely in places covered at school. At least half of abusive partners also abuse their children. At least 70% of injuries to a child will be fatal, with around 80% of them committed by a father or father surrogates. It has also been proven that it is more likely that daughters will be abused than sons, with a 6.51 times greater chance they will be sexually assaulted than those who do not have a mother that is abused. The Australian government has also collected statistics of abuse to children over a number of years, showing that in Australia there has been a 45% increase in children likely to be harmed, abused, or neglected since 2003. Indigenous children were found to be 5 times more likely than other children to suffer from domestic violence, and 8 times the rate living in out-of-home care. These statistics were collected in 2006 and are predicted to increase in the future. This information shows us that some socio-economic backgrounds are more likely to experience a domestic violence at home, and that we need to acknowledge and prevent this. Australia has an increasing growing population with a variety of cultures, religions, languages, and values. It is important that we respect a family's privacy, but it is of utmost significance that we protect and support our students to our highest potential. The typical nuclear family has evolved over the last few decades, and our students need a steady guidance and safe environment whilst at school. In our classroom, we can control the experiences and resources shown to our students. At home, however, children can be exposed to thousands of examples of domestic violence in everyday materials, such as their favourite movies, songs, video games, and YouTube clips. Older boys are watching pornography that have derogatory themes towards women, which can give the wrong impression of what is acceptable in a relationship. On our local news channel, almost every day there is a story about abuse or neglect that we sit down and eat our dinner watching. Children need to be taught what a healthy relationship is, which is where us as educators come into play. As an educator, we need to recognise when a child is suffering. Children living with domestic violence are at a great risk of emotional, physical, and psychological damage, especially if the violence is chronic. In the classroom, we all need to be aware of the symptoms and effects of domestic violence. The symptoms of problems may differ from those in the younger years to those in the upper years. For this reason, I have separated the symptoms for each age group so that you as teachers know personally what you are looking for in your classroom. Some short-term responses to domestic violence in the younger years could include generalized anxiety, sleeplessness, nightmares, difficulty concentrating, high activity levels, increased aggression, increased anxiety about being separated from a parent, intense worry about their safety or the safety of a parent. Children exposed to domestic violence often struggle with schoolwork, finding it difficult to complete or concentrate because of the lack of verbal, motor, and social skills. In the middle years, we may notice these symptoms more quickly as they begin to affect grades, behaviour, and attitude. Students may have poor concentration, aggression, hyperactivity, disobedience, disturbed sleep, nightmares, withdrawal, low self-esteem, showing no emotion or spaced out, always on edge, worry, fantasize about normal home life, pessimism about the future, or physical symptoms. Depending on the degree of violence and how long it had been happening and the individuality of the child, older children can suffer from long-term damage that affect their adult life. Some students may suffer from anxiety, shame, poor self-image, eating disorders, low academic achievement, low self-esteem, staying away from home, feeling isolated from others, violent outbursts, participating in dangerous risk-taking behaviours to impress peers, alcohol and substance abuse, difficulty communicating feelings, experiencing violence in their home, own dating relationships, physical injuries when they try to intervene to protect mother, and suicide. As a school, we need to know what to do when we are faced with a child who is suffering from domestic violence. They may not be in your classroom. You may never have spoken to this child. You may not feel it is your place, duty, or problem, but you can make the difference. You may be the only one that sees the pain, and you may be the only one that can stop it. As a community, we need to come together and make our school one that actually makes a difference, who puts our students first and foremost. In a school, we have already implemented the Kids Matter framework to assist us in methods, tools, and support when dealing with an issue. This website is useful for information and help centres, however, are not easily accessible or appealing to young children. To make sure a child has help, we need the whole community to show them that we care and are listening. The Breaking the Silence model was created by White Ribbon, an organisation created to protect the female victims of domestic violence. This diagram shows the 6 target areas designed to include the whole community of a school, and how each area contributes to a whole school approach against domestic violence. White Ribbon also offers workshops to principals and with senior leaders to establish a commitment with the prevention of domestic violence and to provide them with an understanding, a stimuli to engage students. These workshops need to be available for all school teachers as it is equally important for us to be involved, passionate and knowledge of all aspects of domestic violence. What better way to show the children our respect for this issue than to be armed with the appropriate understanding and training? As a role model, we need to represent the behaviour we expect in a domestic-free environment. This means applying the right discipline for acts in the classroom or playground that promote violent or demeaning behaviour. In this informal context, we should be making the children think about their actions and how they may make someone else feel. We need to make it obvious that we, Eleanor School, will not tolerate any bullying or violence. A whole school approach with all teachers modelling no-nonsense behaviour will help to minimise it at school. In the classroom, we need specific lessons tackling these difficult issues so that the children are aware of what is right or wrong behaviour at home and in relationships. Posters, cross-curricular lessons, showing age-appropriate videos and resilience training are all ways we as teachers can assist in this prevention. Having a class discussion on the first day of school about the correct way to treat a human being, and then creating a list of class rules made by the students will get them passionate and hands-on with dealing with what is acceptable behaviour. Refer back to these rules when necessary and remind them that they made these rules themselves, and as a class we are united against bullying and violence. As we expand from the classroom to social leaders and school community components, we can bring in external help. Having professionals that are trained in personal, social and health education come in and talk to the students regularly will ensure that their understanding of the issue is coherent and well-rounded. If students are regularly exposed to relevant information at a young age, right up to upper primary, they will be armed with knowledge, which is, as we all know, power. As we begin to implement this plan and students begin to disclose information about violence at home, we will need to introduce a professional that is trained to help and support the child through the issue. In our school, we have Chappie Doug, our school chaplain, who is trained in supporting students and their families. Doug will be preparing a 10-minute segment for every weekly assembly to remind the students of what he does at the school, why, and how to find him. This way, the students are seeing a familiar face around the school and are constantly reminded that they are not alone. Having whole school assemblies about the prevention of domestic violence will have the students feeling united with each other and also the teachers and staff. Having a former student from a school come in and talk about their own experiences in domestic violence will also give students a real-life example of someone that sought help and used resilience to overcome that domestic issue, such as bullying, exclusion, or violence. The national curriculum ensures that students are developing social and emotional skills needed in adulthood and help them to understand and handle themselves, relationships, and learning and work. These skills are effectively discussed and developed through each year level, but teachers need to also cross-curricular these experiences through everyday subjects and model this behaviour daily to ensure children take these values home to their families and into their adult decisions, actions, and relationships. The White Ribbon Campaign helps to educate the principals and teachers on how to implement strategies into our schools, but there are lots of workshops and other websites, such as NatCan, that offer training, youth groups, and camps that assist children in developing the skills and knowledge appropriate to their age. They also have an Aboriginal Girls Circle that provide young Indigenous girls with a program designed specifically to develop their social and emotional skills through games and activities. These workshops could be advertised and encouraged through our school to ensure parents know these services are available and gives both parent and child a space to feel safe and understood. As a whole community, we as Australian citizens should be modelling appropriate behaviour with a zero tolerance of domestic violence. We need to stop accepting derogatory comments or jokes about gender inequality, ignoring signs of domestic violence, exposing children to inappropriate themes, either in action or media, having information and services about domestic violence around our workspace and available to our students, or personally taking workshops to further our power as teachers and citizens will not only contribute to our school, but the wider community. Domestic violence needs to stop now. Every one of us can make a difference. Thank you.